Hey guys, Lauren here, and I'm using the printables to make a 12 by 12 layout today with multiple photos. So I've got a range of photos here of my son dancing at the beach, as you do, but that was a fun moment to record, and I have used only 6 of them. I did print 9, which means that I'll be able to use those 3 in a different way. And I'm going to work on using these pattern papers that I've created by printing the pocket page cards that Deb has designed. So check out my video for the first video for the month to see how I made these and how I printed these and the other printables. But I'm just having fun here with working out that they could layer nicely, and they go, well, of course they go well together. They're part of the same collection and the same kit that Deb has designed to make them work with Steph's kit that she made. So I decided I was going to use that black and white paper to back the photos, but I stuffed it up. So instead I am going to make 2 like film strips of photos, so 3 in each of them, and that way I can sort of layer them up rather than be a big cluster of 6 photos in a square, or a rectangle that would be. And instead, excuse me, a yawn. Instead I'm going to use that black and white spotty paper by ripping that part off with all that tape that was being ruined, and use it as the border, the start of my clustering, or layering I should say. So here's where we get scissor happy with the pattern paper, and we're going to work out where all my colours are going to go and what's going to be the final design. So I'm liking the 3 of these colours together. They are just a very nice pop of brightness, and I'm liking the way the photos are sitting a bit random at the same time as neat together. So let's work on cutting them down and ripping some edges to get this happening. So I'm going to first rip the yellow one straight down the middle, and I was going to add it just a bit bigger top and bottom than this black and white, but as I'm creating and layering I realize it's better to have it just one edge, so I'm going to cut it down a little bit more, make it thinner and then shorter as well, so that it nestles in nicely. That's just randomness. It's just having a fun and having a play and going with the flow and being brave, I guess, to cut. For some people that's the way you be brave with pattern paper, especially when you've got a full sheet of it. So I'm liking the way that it sits and layers up, and I'm just going to add some marks under the blue, on the blue underneath the pink here, for where I can cut, so I can keep some of that blue for later projects, and that will mean I have a fair bit of that colour, even though it's so easy to go and print some more on my printer. So that's really fun. I'm thinking of moving it to the left there, and that way I have that strip of white on the right to add like some thickers as a title, but I decided I didn't like it on the on the right, because of the way the photos were sitting. It worked much better on the left. So I'm going to commit to my layering. I'm going to stick down the blue one using some double-sided tape, and then I'm going to use my tiny attacher to attach the 3 top layers before sticking down that set of layering papers onto the blue section. I do have the thought of using thickers to write my title up the side, but basically it was getting late at night and I really didn't want to get up and go and find some thickers that would match and be the right size, and I really didn't know what I'm going to call this layer, like what I would write using thickers, and basically I didn't go and find them, so I instead don't worry about the thickers and use the ripped yellow edge to add more paper layers to that, rather than keeping it as one whole white strip down the edge of the layout. So here I am kind of attaching it up, so that way I don't have to muck around with sticky tape on all three of the layers. I can just sticky tape the back of the layer, the back of the pink, and all of it's going to be stuck down. It's a very good way to... The stapler is a good feature, but also is a good background tool in terms of things like this, where you can stick things down and then it's covered up, so you are none the wiser that there is a staple underneath. So, as per usual, my layers go back a different way than what I had planned at the beginning, but that's okay. We all get there in the end, or even get in a different spot in the end, because sometimes it changes. I'm just going to add the film strip of photos down onto the top. I don't add, normally I would probably think about adding one of them up on fun foam to stand out more, but they're really the same they're the same thing. They're all dancing. It's not like one is black and white and one's colour, and then you would make one stand out a bit more, or there's no need for me. I think it goes really well to just have it flat together and make them both a feature. That was riveting TV, where you couldn't see anything because I was putting double-sided tape down. And that's what's going on now. So then I'm going to get set to adding that ruffled edge to the left here and filling in that white space. But then I'm also going to work on the clusters and working out exactly how this page is going to be embellished and how it's going to be completed. So just sticking that down. I do fight with a little, so I cut it out and we come back and it's all stuck down, because I did put glue right to the edge of that blue paper rather than leaving it in the middle, which is often what I do so that I can layer underneath. So I'm going to pull out these three labels and I'm going to fussy cut them each and work on them, but I end up only using 2 of them. Now, if you watch my printable video or you've watched anything previously before, you know that I quickly just roughly cut them and sort them, my embellishments and pieces, Project Life cards, and all those kind of fun things that we get in the exclusive printables. And then that way I can, when I'm creating, just give it a couple seconds to just quickly cut it, and I can decide whether I want to have a white border or have no border for that piece. They are a totally different look, and sometimes I want one or the other for the whole layout, and other times I want a little bit of difference, and sometimes it depends on what the actual embellishment is as to how I cut it out. So whereas I am sure there is lots of you who already know that you have a preference for one or the other and would cut all your pieces while you're watching TV or sat in your craft room, because that is what works for yourself. And that is the beauty of scrapbooking, working out your own preferences and style and choices so that you can make it work quicker and easier for yourself. So I'm just having a look at the little box of words that we've got in the exclusive printables and pulling out a few that work really well. I am then also going to cut some of these flowers and these leaves and add them down the bottom. Actually, I don't use the flowers. I just use the leaves and those berry fronds, I guess, or berry sprigs. Is that the word? Anyway, I use them. Oh, they might even be flowers, but I think they're berries. These things here that I'm cutting right now. And I'm just going to add these in 2 little sections for each of my clusters. I'm going to have a cluster at the top and a cluster down the bottom. I now realize that I don't actually have a title. I guess there's so many words on there that you could pick anything and have it but as the title, but I didn't purposely add something as its own title or make it stand out more. And there's a couple of layouts that I did this month like that, which is a little bit interesting, a bit different. Now, if you're a subscriber of the Kitaholic Kits, then you know about these printables, and if you're not, then it's your lucky day where you can find out about the perks of being a subscriber. So you can see how you get these exclusive printables and how they work together. You can check out the videos where I share how I've printed the printables and what the printables look like. And you also get exclusive cut files And we also get exclusive videos from all our design team members throughout the month, and we get we have live streams and all kinds of fun questions and conversations and sharing of how we use the kit all over on the subscriber only Facebook group for Kitaholics. We also then have the Kitaholics community group as well, where things that are not so exclusive for subbies are shared as well. So definitely come and check us out on that social media platform, because there's a lot on offer, but also as part of a subscriber, you don't want to miss out on those exclusive cut files and printables, which, you know, add to your kit each month and rounds out what you're using and how you use it. So I didn't like this edge here, so I'm going to add this tiny word here. I really didn't like the straight edge of that yellow. It just was popping out and jarring in my mind. And I'm going to stick these clusters down. I fast forward all the little playing and the fussy cutting a fair bit so that I could show you how they came together as I stuck. So I'm just adding the double-sided tape in the middle of that label so that I can then layer the leaves and the berry sprigs underneath the edges, rather than being committed to the middle. Committed to on top, I should say. And I'm just quickly fussy cutting these little phrases so that I could stick them down. So I'm using double-sided tape for those ones, and then I use the wet glue for the leaves and the berries so that I could just quickly stick them underneath. And it just would have been so much of a hassle to try and figure out how to put double-sided tape on those ends of those leaves. That would just fairly impossible. So I'm going to add 2 clusters on each of the label, two clusters of leaves and berries to the edge of those label clusters, one at the top, one at the bottom, and I'm just going to put opposite so that orange and the pink berries are not both on the left and not both on the right, but one left, one right. And that's just me talking to myself about symmetry. It's not because it's, you know, one way looks much better over the other than in my own brain. So then I turn it around so I can work on the cluster up the top without leaning over my table, which would have been fine because that's not in the screen anyway. So I don't know if you noticed that blue piece that is in my left hand at the moment. That was a tag, and I cut off the end because it was sticking out and wasn't what I wanted. But I liked having something else in back behind this label as a part of the cluster. Mind you, it takes me a little bit to get it in the right spot once it has double-sided tape on it, but I get there in the end. So I originally had this cluster to the right side of the photo, but realised it needed to nestle in here, just like the bottom one nestled in, so that you don't see the jarring lines of the film strips. So because the film strips of the photos are quite straight, even though there's a lot of straight lines in the paper behind, it sort of just was leaving this little dead space and wasn't working. So the clusters nestled in there work perfectly, and it's like it was meant to be. So adding some film strips, some paint strips, and some words to this cluster up the top, and this beautiful camera is going to go up there as well once I have a play with these leaves and finish those parts off. On it goes, and then I'll turn it back around so we can see. On goes this phrase up the top here, and that's just going to draw out that cluster to be the full length of the top of the photos, and it's going to be that top cluster is going to have my layering, because I'm going to fill in that label. And layering, I mean journaling. Ay, so many wrong words. And sorry that we're out of screen a little. I'm just putting some double-sided tape on this camera, and then on he goes. And that's going to be the fun of it. So on goes my journaling and some of these phrase stickers. I do add some enamel dots, which is, I don't believe, in the filming, but you'll be able to see it in the close-up. Not too much, just a couple from my stash. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I just put the glue on and I cut the embellishment or pick up the embellishment, put some glue on it, some double-sided tape on it, and go to stick it down, and it doesn't go there, so then I have to find a different spot for it on the layout. And 9 times, well, probably even more, 99 times out of 100, it works really well up. You know, there is a couple of times where I have to put it to the side and admit defeat that it's not going to work on this layout. So just using a Sharpie pen, because I've printed on a glossy photo paper, and as long as you don't smudge it in the first 10 seconds, it does dry very well and you're none the wiser to it being on glossy paper. There we go, just adding some journaling about him dancing at the beach, because why not? And he's also always a goofball. I'm going to add a dotted line for a border and all the way around, and I did consider like bordering the edges of pattern paper, but because of the brightness of the colour and the jagged ripped edges, it doesn't need that at all, so I refrain from adding too much doodly border and dotted line borders to the whole page, and instead just stick with the full outer border around the full 12 by 12. So not much more to it. I'm just going to add some enamel dots, and then we're going to go in to the close-ups. So hopefully you've been inspired to get your printables off your computer and into your little hands, ready to add to your kit and create with. And have a great day creating. Bye guys.